A millionaire humiliates a waitress in a restaurant but regrets it when she grabs the microphone and leaves everyone speechless. Before the story begins, comment below which city you're watching this video from. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Enjoy the story, everyone. The soft clink of silver cutlery against fine china created a familiar melody for Amber Mitchell as she gracefully moved between tables at the Elysium, Nashville's most luxurious restaurant. At 28, her immaculate black uniform and gentle smile concealed a story marked by sacrifices and an extraordinary talent she had sworn never to reveal to the world again. "Table 12, Amber. Mr. Blackwood just arrived," whispered Tina, the hostess, with a warning expression. "He seems to be in a bad mood." Amber nodded, adjusting the bow tie of her uniform. Ryan Blackwood, Nashville's music industry magnate, was known as much for his success as for his unpredictable temperament. His empire, Blackwood Records, dominated the Tennessee music scene, discovering and molding stars with the same ease he discarded them. "I'll take care of it," Amber replied, taking a deep breath. As she headed to the table, her phone vibrated. It was the hospital where her mother, Louise, had been admitted for 5 years, fighting a rare neurological syndrome that doctors were still trying to fully understand. The experimental treatment consumed every penny Amber earned in tips and overtime. "Miss Mitchell? Dr. Campbell here. We need to discuss some new options for your mother. The current treatment isn't responding as we hoped." Amber's stomach sank. "How much would it cost?" "About $150,000 for the complete cycle," the doctor replied sympathetically. "I know it's a significant amount, but—" "I'll find a way," she interrupted, swallowing the lump in her throat. "Somehow." Hanging up the phone, Amber adjusted her expression to match the professionalism the Elysium demanded from its staff and approached table 12, where Ryan Blackwood was animatedly gesturing to his guests. "Welcome to the Elysium. I'm Amber and I'll be your server tonight," she announced in her measured, controlled tone, never revealing its true extent or quality. "Champagne, the best you have," Blackwood ordered, without even looking at her. "We're celebrating a $10 million contract." While serving the drinks, Amber noticed posters being installed on the restaurant's small stage. "Charity Talent Night, $1 million to the winner," sponsored by the Blackwood Foundation. $1 million, she whispered to herself, the amount echoing in her mind like an answer to her prayers. But the price would be too high. She would have to use her voice. In the small employee break room, Amber stared at her reflection in the stained mirror. 20 years had passed since that terrible school performance. The laughter, the microphone failing, the humiliation when her voice, her most precious gift, was ridiculed in front of the entire school. Never again, she had promised herself through tears, and she had kept that promise. "Amber," Martha Wilson's voice, the longtime housekeeper of the Blackwood mansion, surprised her. The gray-haired lady smiled kindly. "What a coincidence finding you here. I came to bring some documents that Mr. Blackwood forgot." "Martha, I didn't know you were coming today." "Just passing through, dear. How is your mother?" Amber hesitated. "She needs a new treatment. I'm trying to figure out how to pay for it." Martha squeezed her hand. "Have faith. Sometimes solutions appear when we least expect them." What Amber didn't know was that outside, an elegant limousine had just parked. Victoria Sterling, the legendary music producer and Ryan Blackwood's ex-wife, adjusted her diamond jewelry while studying the Elysium's facade with a calculating smile. Tonight would not be about discovering new talent, but about executing the next phase of a meticulously planned revenge 15 years in the making. The Elysium's ballroom sparkled under golden lights as Nashville's elite gathered for the charity event. Ryan Blackwood, imposing in his Italian suit, dominated the center of the room like a king in his court. Amber observed discreetly while serving champagne flutes, mentally calculating how much she would need to save to cover at least the initial deposit for her mother's treatment. "And now," announced the master of ceremonies, "the moment you've all been waiting for. Our host, the incomparable Ryan Blackwood." Applause echoed through the hall as Ryan took the stage, his confident smile contrasting with eyes that never seemed to fully smile. "Nashville is known as Music City," his deep voice reverberated through the microphone. "Tonight I want to discover the next great hidden talent. $1 million for whoever impresses me." Victoria Sterling, seated at a table near the stage, watched with an enigmatic smile. her fingers drumming rhythmically on the crystal glass. Her gaze briefly crossed with Martha's, who seemed uncomfortable with her presence. The evening proceeded with several performances, none truly remarkable. Ryan was beginning to show impatience when Amber approached to serve another round of drinks. "Watch out!" Ryan's cold voice cut through the air as Amber reached his table. In a deliberate movement, he moved his arm, knocking over the tray she was carrying. Red wine spread across Amber's white uniform, creating stains like open wounds on the fabric. "Can't you do anything right?" "Useless waitress!" Ryan shouted, loud enough for half the room to hear. Nervous laughter echoed as Amber, mortified, tried to clean up the mess with napkins. "Maybe she should try to win our prize," Ryan mocked, his eyes gleaming with alcohol-fueled malice. "I bet you can't even sing, can you, darling?" Silence fell heavily over the hall. Victoria observed the scene like a patient predator, while Martha looked horrified. "Leave her alone, Ryan," a fragile voice emerged from the entrance of the hall. Louise Mitchell, pale and leaning on a cane, had arrived unexpectedly, brought by Amber's colleagues who had witnessed the humiliation. "Mom," Amber whispered, mortified and surprised. "Who are you?" asked Ryan, disconcerted by the interruption. "Someone who knows my daughter's true talent," Louise replied with surprising dignity. "A talent you would never deserve to hear." A murmur ran through the room. Ryan, unable to back down from the public challenge, smiled coldly. "Well then," he declared, pointing to the stage, "show us this talent. $1 million if you can impress me." "No," Amber muttered, trembling. "I don't sing anymore. I can't." "Amber," Louise approached, gently touching her daughter's arm. "Remember what your father always said. Some gifts are too big to be silenced." In the middle of the crowd, a young man with glasses watched intently. Nathan Cooper, a sound technician recently hired by Blackwood Records, discreetly adjusted the audio equipment as the scene unfolded. Gently pushed by Martha and other employees, Amber found herself on stage, trembling under the lights. 20 years of self-imposed silence weighed on her shoulders as the piano began to play a soft melody. "Sing, waitress, or admit your mother is delusional," Ryan taunted, raising his glass in an ironic toast. When Amber finally opened her mouth, the sound that emerged transformed the oxygen in the room into something rarer, more precious. A voice that seemed impossible to emerge from a human being, rich, multidimensional, with the perfect combination of technique and raw emotion. The first note made Ryan Blackwood drop his glass. The second made him stand up. By the third, unexpected tears welled up in his eyes. The entire room froze in a collective trance as Amber sang a ballad about lost hope and redemption, each note carrying 2 decades of contained emotion. When the last note faded, the silence that followed seemed sacred until it was broken by thunderous applause. Ryan Blackwood, pale as if he had seen a ghost, slowly approached the stage. That voice. Ryan Blackwood seemed distraught, a vulnerable expression replacing his usual arrogance. "You remind me of someone I lost a long time ago." The hall remained in stunned silence as he climbed onto the stage with hesitant steps. His penetrating gaze studied Amber's face as if searching for ghosts in the contours of her features. "My sister, Rebecca, had exactly that ethereal quality in her voice," he continued, his voice almost breaking. "She left us 15 years ago. A tragic accident." Victoria Sterling observed the scene with calculating intensity, her fingers tightening around her purse as an almost imperceptible smile appeared on her red lips. $2 million, Ryan suddenly declared, provoking collective gasps. "And a contract with Blackwood Records. Your voice needs to be heard by the world." Before Amber could process the offer, Victoria rose gracefully and approached the stage like a panther preparing to pounce. "Darling," her silky voice floated through the hall as she climbed onto the stage. "Allow me to introduce myself. Victoria Sterling, Sterling Productions. I can offer something money can't buy. Specialized treatment for your mother at Aurora Clinic. Our Swiss doctors are the best for complex neurological cases." Amber's eyes instinctively turned to her mother, who was watching the scene with a mixture of pride and concern. Louise seemed more fragile under the bright lights, a constant reminder of what was really at stake. "How do you know about my mother's condition?" asked Amber, suspicious. Victoria smiled enigmatically. "Nashville is a small city for those who know how to listen. Ryan offers money. I offer healing, and of course $3 million for the contract, generously exceeding his offer. Ryan stepped forward, his eyes flashing with familiar anger. Victoria, that's low even for you. Using her mother's illness as a negotiation tool? Don't pretend moral superiority, Ryan, Victoria coldly retorted. Not after what you did to Rebecca. The name hung in the air like an accusation. Martha, in the audience, visibly paled. 3 days later, Amber gazed through the windows of Sterling Productions' luxurious office as Nashville stretched below, a landscape of realized and shattered musical dreams. The signed contract on the table before her seemed simultaneously her salvation and her sentence. "We're making some adjustments to your image," Victoria explained, sliding her elegant fingers over produced photos of Amber. "Authenticity is overrated in the music industry. The audience wants fantasy, not reality." In the adjacent studio, Nathan Cooper adjusted equipment, casting concerned glances in Amber's direction as she recorded version after version of the same song, each sounding progressively more processed, less natural. "This doesn't sound like me," Amber protested after hearing the final mix. "It sounds better than you," Victoria corrected with an icy smile. "By the way, we transferred your mother to our exclusive clinic in Switzerland last night." "What? Without consulting me?" "It's in the contract, darling. Complete control over medical decisions to ensure the best treatment. You can visit her when we finish the album, in a few months." The reality of the situation began to crystallize for Amber. Her mother was now effectively under Victoria's control, kept as a silent guarantee of her cooperation. In the following weeks, Amber watched in horror as her voice was distilled into something commercially viable, but unrecognizable, her image transformed, her essence progressively erased. When she tried to protest, Victoria would simply smile and show photos of Louise receiving exclusive treatments. It was during a particularly frustrating session that Nathan Cooper accidentally dropped a flash drive near Amber. "I'm sorry," he murmured, bending down to retrieve it. "File B15, password Nightingale. Tomorrow, Bluegrass Cafe, 3 p.m. That night, alone in her luxurious apartment provided by the record label, Amber opened the protected file. What she saw made her blood freeze. Medical records of a patient named Rebecca Blackwood, admitted 15 years ago to a private Swiss clinic, the same clinic where her mother was now. Among the documents, a recent photo showed a sedated, unconscious woman, but unmistakably resembling Ryan Blackwood. The records detailed progressive doses of sedatives and psychiatric medications, administered under orders from a legal guardian, Victoria Sterling. The Bluegrass Cafe was nearly empty when Amber entered, her eyes quickly locating Nathan in a discreet corner. Her fingers trembled slightly as she held the coffee cup. "I work for Ryan Blackwood," Nathan confessed in a low voice. "I was hired to monitor Victoria after he began to suspect his sister might be alive. How did you get these documents?" "Victoria is careful, but arrogant. She keeps records of everything to protect herself. What she doesn't know is that I've had access to her system for months." Nathan hesitated. "There's more. She plans to use you as the centerpiece in her revenge against Ryan." Victoria's grand plan became clear in the weeks that followed. A spectacular debut show was being organized, with international coverage and Ryan Blackwood in the front row. During the event, falsified dossiers would be distributed to the press, implicating Ryan in Rebecca's supposed tragedy years ago, using Amber as living proof of his sick obsession with his lost sister. "She's not just planning to destroy Ryan's reputation," explained Martha Wilson, when Amber secretly sought her out. "Victoria wants to destroy him emotionally. He never recovered from Rebecca's supposed accident." Martha revealed how Ryan had changed after losing his sister, how he obsessively searched for talents that reminded him of Rebecca, how Victoria, then his wife, had consoled her devastated husband while secretly orchestrating the entire plan. "Why would she do this?" asked Amber, horrified. Rebecca was about to sign with another label against Victoria's advice. She would have been bigger than any artist Victoria ever produced. Out of pride and control, Victoria couldn't allow it. Armed with the truth, Amber now faced an impossible dilemma. Her mother and Rebecca were effectively hostages while the clock ticked toward the grand spectacle. It was Ryan Blackwood who proposed the audacious plan when Amber and Nathan finally revealed everything to him. "Victoria has always wanted a big show," he said, fierce determination replacing his usual arrogance. "Let's give her exactly that." The day of the show arrived amid unprecedented publicity frenzy. Nashville's Bridgestone Arena was packed, live broadcast cameras strategically positioned. Victoria watched everything from backstage, her triumph almost palpable. "Nervous, darling?" she asked Amber, adjusting her elaborate performance dress. "Every great artist feels the weight of responsibility. Today, you're going to change lives." "Yes," replied Amber with newfound calm. "More than you imagine." When the lights went out and the first chord sounded, Amber walked to center stage under deafening applause. In the front row, Ryan Blackwood maintained an impenetrable expression. "Tonight," Amber began, her voice amplified by the perfect sound system, "I want to talk about truth." Victoria frowned backstage, not recognizing the words from the carefully prepared script. 15 years ago, an extraordinary voice was silenced. Not by an accident, as many believe, but by jealousy and calculated manipulation. Amber signaled to the technicians, and the huge screens lit up, showing Rebecca's medical documents, financial transfer records, and incriminating emails. The audience collectively gasped. Live cameras broadcast each image to millions of viewers. In the VIP box, journalists devoured every revelation while frantically typing. "Today, I won't sing alone," Amber continued, "because some voices deserve to be heard again." The side doors of the stage opened, and Ryan Blackwood appeared, gently guiding two women, Louise Mitchell, visibly healthier after receiving proper medical treatment, and Rebecca Blackwood, pale but determined, her eyes shining with a decade and a half of silenced truths ready to be freed. Victoria tried to flee, only to find federal agents blocking her exit, Nathan Cooper among them, displaying credentials he had never fully revealed. When the three women began to sing, Amber, Louise, and Rebecca, their intertwined voices created something transcendental that made the entire audience rise in reverence. Rebecca's voice, though weakened by years of sedation, carried an ethereal quality identical to Amber's, revealing the true reason why Victoria had selected the young waitress for her final plan. 5 years later, the Blackwood Center for Artists in Nashville became a haven for emerging talents, offering fair contracts and protection against music industry exploitation. Leading the organization is Amber Mitchell Cooper, alongside her husband Nathan, with Ryan and Rebecca Blackwood as principal advisors. In a private rehearsal for a benefit concert, Amber watches her mother Louise, fully recovered, helping her 4-year-old daughter follow a simple melody on the piano. 3 generations of women, their voices now free to be heard in all their authenticity. "Some cages are made of bars," reflects Amber. "Others are golden and lined with contracts and false promises. But there is no prison that can permanently contain the truth of an authentic voice." On the main stage, Rebecca Blackwood adjusts her microphone, ready for her first tour in 2 decades, her voice gradually regaining its original strength, just like her soul. Ryan watches with pride as Martha organizes sheet music, the united family that Victoria never managed to completely destroy. Meanwhile, at the Federal Women's Penitentiary, Victoria Sterling receives a letter. It's an invitation to the benefit concert with a handwritten note. "Every voice deserves to be heard, even those who tried to silence others." Signed, Amber, Rebecca, and Louise. Thank you so much for following this emotional journey with Amber and her extraordinary discovery. If this story about courage, redemption, and the transformative power of music touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. Every interaction helps us continue sharing stories that move and inspire. We're curious. Have you ever felt that your true voice or talents were silenced by fear or circumstances? Share your experience in the comments below. And don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow with another powerful story that will surely touch your soul and make you reflect. See you then.